everyone. Today is Friday, June 7th, and today we are so happy to bring you along for an early June garden tour. We have finally wrapped up a few projects that we've been working on, and now it's time to focus on the actual garden. All of our tomatoes are growing beautifully. We have cucumbers getting ready to set fruit, lots of peppers, and lots of flowers. So if you've been following along and you can see everything that I started from seed this year, you'll want to see this garden tour because things are really progressing. So let's go for a walk through the backyard garden and see how everything is doing. I'm so excited to say that the tomatoes that we planted are doing so incredibly well. I love that I changed up the marigolds in the Landguard galvanized raised bed area to calendula instead. Everything is really happy. And I don't know if right off the bat you can see that I have some beautiful tomatoes forming. This is Kellogg's Breakfast. It's doing really great in this area. We had it over in the main garden last year and it just seems to suffer. The galvanized beds have been really producing some wonderful tomato plants. This is the pineapple tomatoes, which has a ton of flowers inside, but we haven't seen any fruit yet. Now, the calendula, again, is placed in areas where we had marigolds in the past, but the calendula seems to be staying so far a little more compacted, and I have a few in bloom that I'll be showing you. This is zeolites. What an incredible flower. It actually has fragrance and it's so beautiful in the sunshine. Another new flower that's blooming for me this year is the cupcake variety of Cosmos. Look how gorgeous this flower is. This was easy to grow. I did do it as a starter plant this year and then planted the seedling in. You can see this whole entire section is cupcakes and is looking really beautiful. Dr. Witchy's is always, you know, the happy, assertive tomato. It's got sucker after sucker after sucker, split trunks on it. It's just an amazing tomato. It really needs a much bigger space to grow. So next year I'll probably reduce this area down to just 1 or 2 plants to a cage this size because it really does want to grow aggressively. Even Mortgage Lifter is doing really well. We have a bunch of tomatoes on here, lots of sets. Can't wait for Mortgage Lifter. And I honestly think, you guys, that we're going to be eating tomatoes before July. So hopefully they're from my lips to mother's ears and we're going to have a tomato harvest early this year. But the raised beds are looking incredible. I love it that the flowers are starting to bloom. Here's another Cosmos that I harvested seed from the Sensation blend last year, and I'm glad I isolated it because this is always one of my most favorite flowers. More zeolites calendula, and I think this one is going to be Pink Surprise. Again, this whole section here of calendula was from volunteers that we just pulled up out of the ground and planted them right into the beds after a brief stay in the trash can because Farmer John didn't realize that I was trying to harvest the volunteers to spread around. But anyway, we promptly got them out of the trash can and planted them, and now they're very happy for it. So I'm going to take you back for a walk through the main garden area because there's so much about to bloom and so much that is really just starting to produce. And, you know, it's hard to know really where to begin. We are still making a lot of improvements to the area. I'll stop here at the strawberry patch, which is now spent because we literally harvested 50 pounds of tomatoes from this patch. Not tomatoes, 50 pounds of strawberries, you guys. This was incredible. There were 3 varieties being All-Star, Annapolis, and Parks Whopper strawberries, and it was an incredible year for strawberries. Soon we'll be moving on to blueberries, and you can see down there we have beautiful, wonderful clusters of deep blue berries, and I don't even know how I'm going to be able to measure the amount of blackberries we're about to get. So this cage area that we created, this fruit cage with the EMT poles and the bird netting, I can attach that video for you in case you've missed it. This was a great move. Not a single bird has gotten in yet. There's more room for everything to spread. And the blackberries finally have plenty of room, and we're able to get in here easily by just lifting a corner of the net. So we're about to approach the heart of the garden, which all of you who are used to these tours are familiar with, starting at the corn patch, obviously. And the corn is finally at its height now, where it is ready to get its first hilling and fertilizing. And we'll do a separate video for you about hilling and fertilizing corn and what that means and why you should do it. But it looks like the corn is going to be another successful year. This is one of the best things that we ever did. Green beans are coming along nicely. This has been a good year for them. And this whole area, the whole entire garden, is filled with new soil this year that we bought from O'Brien's in Medford, New Jersey. So it was good soil. This is a mix of compost and topsoil. So lots of green bean varieties. I can also attach that video for you so I can show you which varieties they are. They are doing really, really great. So the corn is thirsty though, you guys. I do have to get out here and water it. We just had an amazing rainstorm 2 nights ago, and everything went wild, as you're about to see as we go through the tour. This patch here is melons of seeds that I harvested from fruit bought in Wegmans. We have the orange flesh melon, which is one of my favorites, Sugar Kiss and Summer Kiss melons, which are specialties that only come into the store in summertime. Last year they grew great. I harvested some seeds, and look what I've got. Hopefully they'll actually produce fruits. I'm starting my squash and zucchini patches different this year. Normally, for those of you who have been watching along, know that this whole area is filled with little round circles where we had our little zucchini forest, and by now I usually have 16 zucchini plants that are taking over and you can't navigate, and then we had too much zucchini too early. So this year I started late, and I'm happy I did, because by the time these are ready to grow and be harvested, I'll have tomatoes with them. This week I'll be succession sowing 3 more seeds a few feet away, and then another 2 weeks I'll plant a few more seeds on the end. So as you know, it all dies down, another area will be coming up. This was a new bed we added this year also when we redid everything, which is full of shishito peppers, nadapenos, pepperoncini, lots of basils in here. The daytill peppers are doing really great as far as a plant. Haven't seen any peppers yet. We still don't know what they're going to taste like, but I do see some flowers on here. Lots of basil. The Megatron jalapeno is new for us this year, so we don't know really what to expect with that, but it is taking its time producing flowers, which I can see finally are starting up. I also have several basil varieties. I have cinnamon, which smells so incredible. This is great for tea. Lemon is the taller in the back there, and in the middle is lime. So if you're trying lime basil, please be patient with it. It's so worth growing, but it does take its time because it seems to like the heat. Now, that happy plant back there, which is like a Christmas tree covered in ornaments, is the pepperoncini. So I will be attempting for the first time at pickling some sort of a pepper this year. So that will be something we'll look forward to. These petunias here are volunteers from like 4 or 5 years ago. No matter how many times we prick them out, they just want to be volunteers. So these petunias have been planted all through our garden, and today we'll be busy pulling these guys out and getting them into our new garden. I have a Dr. Witchies and a Bonnie Best over here that are doing really great. I'm pretty sure this Dr. Witchies is the one that has some really beautiful tomatoes starting already. Yes, Dr. Witchies. Oh my goodness, you guys. I just love having these tomatoes. These are Bonnie Best. I'm going to show you. Oh, this Bonnie has a few tomatoes on it already. We're going to have so many tomatoes this year that I don't know what I'm going to do. Again, I'm entertaining the thought of having a little garden stand, and we'll see who's interested, because I'm just not going to give it all away this year. I have our first eggplant starting, which is very exciting. This is called Gandia de Listada. It is a new variety for us this year that I got from M.I. Gardener. What a beautiful little eggplant. It's growing happily. It's got other flowers on it. Our eggplants are suffering from flea beetles, but I refuse to spray anything that some people are suggesting that I spray other than spinosad, which is an all-natural ingredient. I'm not going to overwhelm them with any soap mixtures. So I don't really like recommending to people that, you know, what you should spray on your stuff. Spinosad I feel is safe, and we did do a video about that last year. Haven't had any problems. The eggplants tend to continue producing fruit even though their leaves suffer, so I'm not so worried about it. As long as it's only flea beetles, I tolerate it. Once it becomes Colorado potato beetles, then it's a new problem that we have to address. So let's move on to banana peppers. There's no doubt you can see those guys. I mean, we have so many banana peppers already, and I already harvested a few young peppers and went ahead and sauteed them up, mixed in the skillet with freshly harvested shishito and jalapeno, and the flavor was absolutely incredible. I'm not sure why I have not been growing banana peppers all this time, but we suddenly have a new favorite pepper in the mix. This here is not shaped the way I expected that it would be. This is a sunbright pepper, also from M.I. Gardener, growing happily. Now I think one of the things I did for an area back here that was the best move I could have ever made was separating the potato leaf varieties of tomatoes. This is German pink and brandywine. And last year they had the best tomatoes, but the plants themselves suffered from such debilitating disease it infected the entire bed. And these plants are so incredibly healthy, and they have giant blossoms. Now, let me see if I can get in here and show you some of the blossoms, because the bigger the blossom, I think the bigger the fruit. So I anticipate that we're going to have giant brandywine and German pink tomatoes. So I'm pretty excited about that. Over here we have all of the Jersey Devils, which are starting to produce their fruits. You can see here. Very excited about that. And this has, last year was the first time I grew Jersey Devils. And the most wonderful thing about it was I discovered a new favorite thing. They produce the best paste tomato you can grow, honestly. They're very large, heavy, dense, meaty fruits with very little seeds, and they're incredible when you roast them and use them as a paste, and they turn spaghetti sauce or pizza sauce into something extra special. Now over on this side I have all of my jalapenos and shishitos, again doing really incredible. We're very, very pleased with the progress of everything. Hopefully you can see the shishito peppers, because honestly, you guys, I cannot see a thing that I am filming today with the light. We waited a little while. It's, oh my goodness. This morning we had a late start because it is Farmer John's vacation week. However, neither one of us have taken a moment off to rest. We have been procrastinating a little bit in the mornings, but it's really very hard to not just come out and work. So these peppers here are a range of Parks Whoppers. And then I have California Golden Wonder and Keystone Resistant. Now the Parks Whoppers peppers, we came out this morning and realized that we have an actual full-size pepper in here. And I think I can still let this continue to grow because it's still very dark. And this is a thick walled bell pepper. It looks so incredible. I want to let it hang on a little bit longer, but it is quite honestly big enough to harvest. And I have several of those through this area. And the California Golden Wonder is doing incredibly well, and so is the Keystone Resistant. Out of all these peppers, I would say the Keystone Resistant is most prone to scorch. I did have to pull a few. We are in the process of getting some shade cloth because of the environmental changes, making it very hard for us to keep everything cooled off back here in our microclimate. Now the next area of peppers also doing incredibly well is Cubanea, Jimmy Nardellos, which, have you had a Jimmy Nardellos? Because if you haven't and you love to grow peppers, this was the best year we've had so far. This is the most flavorful pepper for frying, roasting, grilling. The flavor is incredible. Nothing matches a Jimmy Nardello. Same thing with Cubanea. I did have to pull some fruit. It does have more flowers. They did get a little scorch. This is more of a chartreuse green colored, thin-walled frying pepper. And then we have giant Marconi, which I had to pull a few off of these also because it did get scorch. So we're suffering from scorch very early this year because of the climate change. Our yard has been registering in the high 90s for the past few weeks, even though it's only supposed to be in the 80s. So that's the benefit and curse of having a microclimate, south-facing backyard. Now, trying to come back around so I can show you the heart of the tomato beds. And every time I say as I come through these tours that I hope you can see, because I cannot see you on the viewfinder. But the tomatoes are doing so incredibly well this year. They are probably close to 5 feet tall. And that's, not even mentioning that I had well over a foot of root ball and stem buried when I planted them. But I couldn't be happier with the way everything is growing. The plants are very, very healthy. The temperatures have been hot, but not so hot that my blossoms are dropping off. I did have a few blossoms drop off, which you really can expect. But overall, we have production this year to a rate that we did not anticipate we were going to get. I mean, even Abe Lincoln is producing plenty of tomatoes. Classic Beef is doing well. Now, Classic Beef, the thing with this tomato is it wants to have black spot. I don't know why, but I've been, trying to prune it, not too aggressively. And you can see that I still have a lot of leaf under here because I am pruning according to my conditions. Right now, it is not too humid. It is somewhat dry. They have plenty of circulation, but they have been pruned several times. You can see where I have been pruning. And then here's the black spot. It just, it's normal to get some early disease on these leaves because it's just the nature of growing tomatoes. But we've been growing tomatoes for enough years now that, we feel confident in what we're telling you, what we learned. And it's going to hit very rapidly that we're going to have to do an aggressive pruning on these because the humidity is going to kick up here in New Jersey. And the more foliage you have, the greater the opportunity for disease to introduce itself. Now, this is my first year growing Bonnie Best. This was a free seed from Baker Creek for me this year. And I thought, what am I going to do with another tomato? I'm so happy that they sent me this. I'm so grateful for Bonnie Best because it's producing quicker and bigger than Parks Whoppers are. So I think that Bonnie Best will probably be in our first harvest this year. These are all of the Parks Whoppers plants, though, that are also doing really great. We have little tomato clusters hanging all over, which you'll be able to see better from the other side as I take you around, but they're doing really great. And another tomato I'm super happy about that is doing super well is from M.I. Gardner. This is the Giant Crimson that I got on sale for $1. I only got 5 seeds. I planted 3, got 2, and I couldn't be happier with the way this is growing so far. It has a lot of little tomatoes on it. It is an aggressive vining plant. So if you're growing this for the first time, make sure you have plenty of support available for it, you guys. It also got planted in the soil here with a big feeding of blood meal and bone meal and Tums for calcium. It's very, very important. Now these guys are Amish paste from M.I. Gardener on this side, and over here is M.I. Gardener San Marzano. Neither of these did well for me last year, but it seems like this year is going to be a better year. I already have fruits producing and everything is very happy. So let's walk back around onto this side real quick before I go to the other side of that bed and show you. These are the Baker Creek varieties of the same tomatoes. This is Baker Creek Amish paste. And you can see that we have a nice tomato in there already. Foliage is looking really, really great. And this is San Marzano Lungo 2 from Baker Creek, which I don't know if they even have this tomato seed variety available anymore. But we are getting fruit. I've explained in many videos that there must have been some mix of seeds in this packet for us, which I've been using for 4 seasons now, and it still continues to produce. Some come out like traditional San Marzano tomatoes. Some come out beautifully fluted and shaped more like an Abruzzi pear. The most delicious tomatoes that you could ever want. So we'll have to wait and see what we get. But the heart of the garden has been blessed with a lot of borage volunteers this year. Some of it overwintered and just came back to life. It was absolutely amazing. It's almost like a perennial. This batch of borage has like a hive of bees in it, and they're not bothering me and I'm not bothering them. They buzz, buzz, buzz when I come over, but everyone's happy. I don't know if you can hear or not. There's so many bees in here. They get louder as I crouch down and get closer, but they're all very happy. Carrots, I'm going to say, are about 30 days out from harvesting. So there are a few where we found a crown is starting to pop out a little bit, and then there's a few that are still skinny, but they have been in the ground since March. So I'm going to say about 30 days. And the garden is looking really, really great this year. I still have some lettuce that has not bolted yet. We have been eating massive amounts of giant lettuce leaves every day. Is it bitter? Not really. Some of it is. When the stalk gets tall like this and it's going to seed to that level, yeah, it's a little bit bitter. But these red romaine lettuce leaves that are gigantic have not been bitter at all. And this has been such a wonderful addition to our salad. It is almost at the end of its time though. The brassicas got away from me. I fed them so well. Look at all the loopers. You know what's going to happen after that, you guys. But I did have broccoli this year. And as a matter of fact, we had some broccoli yesterday from the garden. It was absolutely delicious. So if my Brussels sprouts can hold on, and maybe some cauliflower, maybe we'll be lucky. So now I'm going to bring you back around to the front of the tomato bed area. The Romas are doing better than I could have ever hoped for. This is the best year for tomato plants overall, you guys. And I'm not, there's a lot of things that we think, could have been a factor, but whatever, I'm hoping that I have the same luck next year, because there's a ton of tomatoes in here, a ton of flowers. The canopies are obviously very happy, very green. Disease will eventually come. It's going to happen, and it's always heartbreaking when it does. But again, I think we're going to have an extra early harvest this year, and we think that it's going to be the best ever, unless the earth has a different idea and some storms come. But again, all of the volunteer cosmos are front and center. I am doing a better job of deadheading already this year. And the tomatoes are just so happy, it seems to be, in this area of pollinators, which are fed by cosmos, buckwheat, borage, and then they come up and they fertilize our tomato flowers. And you can see, hopefully it's coming through. You can see that we have tons and tons of tomatoes. So it's all very exciting and kind of frightening at the same time, because I'm already having visions of what the kitchen table is going to look like in the next month. And then, you know, you fall into a place where it's like, I prayed for this, I wished for it, I asked the earth to give it to me, and now I've got it, and I'm overwhelmed. It's going to happen. It happens to everyone. And I think this year is probably going to be even more than last year, and last year was a lot. Off in the distance is I'm cutting across the lawn here because I thought I would show you how beautiful the larkspur looks blooming next to the jet black hollyhock. What a shame that the hollyhock suffers from so much rust. The rust has been a really, really big issue, and one of the plants fell down heavily covered in rust. You can see down here. Not everything is beautiful, you guys. All of these garden tours, you know, we don't have an Instagram garden. This is real. We live here. We eat from this. These flowers are planted for a reason. It's not just to get, you know, that look and the fantasy of an Instagram garden. It's not reality for us. So I guess that's a whole different video. This is larkspur though, and if you're interested in any of these flowers that I am showing you, please comment below and I'll be happy to tell you exactly what the variety is and what seed supplier I bought them from. The larkspur is a surprise. It does want to lay down though. It does need to be staked. So I wasn't really anticipating it was going to do that, but look, it's righting itself up right away, which is amazing. And cosmos do the same things. These Bright Lights cosmos are volunteers from last year, which we haven't finished cleaning up the volunteer area yet, but we are working on that. We have Bachelor Button here, which turned out to be the most beautiful shade of blue, mixed in with some lavender colors. And I thought this came out very wild meadow. You know, I love it. I just love it that we are allowing some of the garden to be a little wild and unkept looking, because it just attracts so many pollinators. The sweet peas though, oh my goodness, what a surprise this was. I'm going to do a separate video for you with all of the flowers and the varieties that we grew. But the sweet peas, I've done nothing to manage them after I sowed the seed, and I have to get in here because it really does want to vine, which is why we put these trellises here, and it is grabbing on with its tendrils on its own to some extent. And it is going to seed, and I'll talk about that more in another video with you, but the image of it every day, and when we come out here and the fragrance of sweet peas is in the air, it's so magical. In the morning the sun rises behind it, and then from another angle the sun sets behind it, and the light is just incredible. So I do recommend growing sweet peas, and like I said, I'm going to get into a different flower video with you where we're just featuring our flowers. It is already heating up and everything is very, very thirsty behind me. It does not take much for things to get wilted. But again, we always appreciate that you guys are interested in coming along on these tours with us, you guys. So a lot's going to be changing as the days go on and as things bloom and we start to harvest. We want to bring you along with us every step of the way. So thanks again for taking this time to come on a garden tour with us, and we sure hope that we'll see you in the next tour video. Have a great day, everyone.